Alright guys, here we go. I'm shooting this with my iPhone. So if the quality sucks, that's why. Just a heads up. I wanted to shoot this with this, but then I wouldn't have this to point to and show you guys. I'm just figuring I'll do it like this. We'll see how it goes. I'm giving you kind of my first impression and thoughts on the Micro Studio 4K camera from Blackmagic, along with the video assist. I got them both on the same day, and I'm one of the first to get them, so I wanted to do some kind of reviewing and testing for you guys. Now I'm going to be putting up some footage so that we can compare, but that's not this video. This video is to explain the product itself in the hands of a consumer, to talk about things that need to be addressed with the products themselves, and not necessarily test footage. I'll do that when I can. So first things first, the first impression you get with this is holy crap, it is very, very light. So I'm going to go ahead and take this arm off. I have this arm attached, and I like this setup. So when it comes to mounting something like this viewfinder, this is very sturdy, and I actually like it a lot. This is a centroid arm. This is a great setup. So I'll start with that, but this itself, and I have it plugged into a million things, including power, because the battery it came with, which, mind you, it comes with a battery, it died, and I don't have a charger. I'm a Nikon guy, so I don't have a charger for Canon yet. I bought one, it's coming in. So that's why it's all hooked up and everything. This itself is very light, and I think across the board that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for people. If you're buying this camera, you know why you need it. Put it that way. It's light, and it gives you really good quality in a very, very small package. I took this to the gym today, and I was able to use a very flimsy small tripod. Let me show you which one. So this is a Manfrotto tripod, but it's one of those cheaper ones you buy at Best Buy for like 50 bucks, right? It has its time and place, but when you get into expensive heavy camera gear, it does not have a place there. I cannot mount my 2.5K Blackmagic camera on this securely at all. But that being said, this fits on my backpack easily, and this goes right on here, no problem, because the weight is so small. It's very light. And so this is a perfect setup. It's going to open up a lot of doors in terms of your entire setup workflow and what you can do with it. I like that a lot. I was able to get this with a lens and the viewfinder, the video assist on here, and it was still very light. So just something to think about. Second impression, when you are putting on your lens. Now, I don't have any native MFT lenses. I shoot with Nikon, and so I have a Metabone speed booster, and this is a tight fit. So tight, I didn't think I was going to be able to get it on in the first place. I felt like I was going to break it. You could hear the metal scraping as you snap this speed booster on. That's worrisome. Now, I know they've had tight camera mounts in the past. A lot of times people talk about it in the forums after the fact. Now, my MFT mount 2.5K Blackmagic cinema camera is not the same. Goes on, snaps on really easily and comfortably. This is super tight. I don't know if it's going to be the same for every MFT lens, but just a heads up, very tight fit. You got to crank that thing on. Outside of that, let's see, it has your SDI out. Now this is a big thing here. The cables are different. Let me grab the cables you need. Okay, so obviously it says it on the box and on the website and everywhere that you're going to need these connecting cables, but it's one of those things that just you don't think about it until you get the camera and you're like, well shit, I can't use it. So standard SDI connection, right? And then here's the little fancy one that they have. So this little thing will push into the SDI, and that's it. It's a different connector. So I had to buy two different cords, right? One that will allow me to take a regular SDI cable and turn it into one of these, right? And one that will allow me to take the feed from the camera, right, if I'm using another size camera, and turn it into one of these, or I just connect the two, and then I can connect this to the video assist, because the video assist has the same thing. Okay, so just a heads up, these are secure. They're very secure. They're not going to fall off because they lock into place. but it's just extra money, extra output. If you don't realize that in time, you'll have to purchase it. So that's kind of one heads up. Now, uh, the battery with the camera, I don't know. I can't tell if it's like a legit Canon LPE6 battery. I have no clue. It doesn't say Canon on it. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that the Canon ones are more tried and true. They're better. They last longer than cheapos. I don't have a charger for this, so I could test the actual time I get with it later. Now, the buttons here, the buttons on the side here, they talk about how convenient and easy that is, and it is. But I'll tell you what, this is a pain in the ass. These buttons right here, maybe it's because I haven't gotten used to it yet, but I am having a hard time when I'm filming trying to figure out all the menu buttons and trying to look at it and press on the button. Right now, the power button itself is indented more than the other buttons. So you already know that fifth button down is the power button, you're not going to press it. Then you have the set, and you have your arrows, and then the menu button. But navigating was a little bit clunkier than expected. So just a heads up with that, very clunky. Now, connecting this to this, which was the video assist, this thing is great. I like it a lot, but here's my issue with it. And again, this might be something that people know, really experienced people who already know about the product, but people who are consumers who are there marketing this product too might not be aware of some of these facts. And the issue we're having here is that you can only access the menu with these buttons when you have an HDMI out. So this is a studio camera, the Studio Cinema Micro 4K, and it has native SDI going out, which is why I bought it. The issue with that, clearly, is that you can't adjust any camera settings unless you have HDMI going to something like this and then adjusting it from there. Otherwise, you're screwed. I took it out of the box, I plugged it in with the SDI, and then I was like, well crap, is it broken? I can't access the menu. This might be something people know. Clearly, there's no ability to command this from this via SDI. That's clearly a connecting issue with the cables themselves. I'm sure it has nothing to do with anything else with the camera or the unit here, but it is something to be aware of. You'll think that your thing's broken, and you cannot access the menu in here from here, if that makes sense. So all the options I have here are for this unit. Unless I'm doing something wrong, I have not been able to access the menu for this unit, the camera itself, through here on the touch screen. Once you press the menu pops up on the left. It's not touchscreen anymore there, you have to use these controls here. And you don't get this menu unless you do HDMI. So what that tells me is that whenever I have an event I'm shooting, I need to get the camera settings right with an HDMI cable and then take the HDMI cable out, because who in the world uses HDMI for live events? You always use SDI, which is why I bought the camera. So I'll have to put the HDMI in to get the camera settings and then plug in the SDI and use that for my feed going to the switcher. That seemed like a pain in the ass, something I just didn't expect, and that's obviously one of the downsides of having a unit that has no screen with it. Again, people may have seen that coming. I didn't. So something to be aware of. HDMI only is what's going to give you access to the menu, and that's how you change the settings. All right. Outside of that, I'm trying to think of a few other things that bothered me. Number one, okay, this has a kickstand. Let me talk about that first. That's great. It's got a kickstand, so it stands up better. So that is actually kind of cool. It's nice. It's secure. So this is, and I had somebody in the forums who must have gotten one as well too say, how the hell do you record? And I actually was an idiot, and I did the same thing when I opened up out of the box and I put this on, and I was like, where's the freaking record button? This is the Micro Studio camera. It doesn't record. It just captures the feed and takes it wherever you're sending it. So obviously, if you buy this camera, you're aware of that. But instinctively, you think there's a record button because you have something that records. You cannot press a record button on here. You have to record from whatever device you have attached to it. So just something to be aware of. Somebody said, I can't get the record button to work. how do I record, and it is from here. So another issue I had was with the SD cards accepted here. Let me go ahead and grab them. Now, I have a slew of SD cards, and I thought something was wrong. I don't think something's wrong anymore with my SD cards. I think that this does not support a lot of SD cards yet. Now, I shoot with the SSD drives on my Blackmagic 2.5K, so I'm not used to recording onto these. Right? I use these for everything else I use, like the photography. I have 64 gigabyte Transcend, and that is the class 10 with the 3. It looks like it's in a bucket, whatever. And then this one as well too is a P&Y, which is a pretty well-known brand. Transcend, okay, I can understand they suck, right? P&Y Elite Performance 64 gigabyte, 90 megabits a second, and this one's fast too. This one is 60 megabits a second for the Transcend. Now, neither of these worked with this video assist. It wouldn't format it, it wouldn't record, it doesn't work. So something to note, and that's obviously very frustrating, is that these don't work. Now, I was able to put a Kingston SD card in, and that one works. So Kingston 64 gigabyte, and this is a, let's see, it's 80 megabits a second for writing and 90 megabits a second for reading. So that one worked. I was also able to get a SanDisk Ultra to work as well too. So I think it comes down to just obviously the compatibility of these SD cards with this unit. Now, I'd like to see if the Blackmagic Pocket camera, the Pocket Cinema camera, takes the Transcend and the P&Y. And if it does, why doesn't this? If not, I understand it's not a supported format or brand or card, whatever. Just something to note for people who are getting this unit. Outside of that, this unit feels fantastic. Again, I don't have the batteries yet to mount to it. A lot of mounting points, which is great. Now, I tried to take this, mount it on top of this, and then put a microphone on top, and it was just ridiculous. No one's ever going to do that. But they did it on the website, and it looked really cool. So I was like, oh, it's so cool, let me put all this crap on top. It looks like shit. So don't do that. It's not worth your time trying to. You'll probably either rig this up in a fashion where you have this connected, maybe with an arm here, and then you connect the audio elsewhere, whatever, figure it out. Everyone's got their own rigging things going on, so I can't talk about that. But those are the initial impressions. Now, I don't want you guys to feel like the initial impressions are bad. I'm actually very excited about this. Side note, I mounted this on my Ronin successfully. It took about 10 minutes to balance it with the Tokina on it because I want to stay wide if I'm moving around, and it worked flawlessly. So that's something exciting to note. I was also able to mount this onto the Ronin handlebars, and it was easy. So just something to be aware of. It fit on the Ronin just fine, and that's actually really what I wanted to do with this, is mount it on the Ronin, and then I could do a lot more running and gunning recording to this on the handlebars. So that was a success. I'm excited for this. The compact size is going to open a lot of doors. I do a lot of events that have stage setups. I could set this up really, really easily and discreetly anywhere with a cheap tripod and just get the SDI feed to my switcher, no problem. I don't have to carry this huge tripod and worry about rigging it up with all this crap. So super excited for that. It just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to use. This is also great too. I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression like I'm upset about anything about this. The only issues I had was, again, I can't access the menu here to here unless I have HDMI. And I don't want HDMI. I hate HDMI. It's loose. It comes right out. It's not my preferred connection type. So outside of that, this is a solid piece of machinery, and so far it looks great. I'll get to some tests soon. Thanks for watching, guys.